All right, welcome everyone. We're just going to kickstart the session for today. So welcome to the Mentorship Track graduation ceremony for 2026. It's been an amazing ride with our mentors and our mentees that have been consistent with the program. And it's quite exciting to finally see it come to a close. So before we delve into today's session, I just briefly want to check in on our mentors and our mentees, see that you're doing okay. I think we have about 18 people on the call, which is a good number, it's a decent number. We'll wait for others to join in. So Gift, I can see your camera is on. How are you doing today? How is your Saturday going? Oh, Gift, you're muted. You're muted. We can't hear you.
That does tend to happen from time to time. Hey guys, it's a great morning on my side. It's pretty chill. Like literally, the weather is pretty chill. My kind of morning, good start, and I'm hoping to get great conversations going. And yeah, congrats to some of the mentees who made it through. It's great to see you on the other side, and I'm looking forward to engaging you on the session today. Thanks, Dara.
Thank you, Gift. Thanks so much for indulging. For everyone who can turn on their cameras today, please do. It's meant to be a very engaging session. If you can't, it's fine, but if you can, please indulge, engage, turn on your cameras. Let's get started. I can see, okay, Victor, there's a Victor Light on the call. Victor, how are you doing today? How's your Saturday going?
Good morning, everyone. I'm doing great. Saturday is, starting off the right way, and I'm excited about, getting to the stage of the mentorship track, and the experiences, the growth, and the mentorship, and yeah. So that's how I'm feeling, and thank you for this opportunity. Yeah.
Great. How is everyone dealing with the rain? Hope our areas are not flooded and whatnot. I can see Ibuku on the call. Ibuku, would you like to share how your mentorship experience has been so far? Who's your mentor? Tell us the name of your mentor, what your mentorship experience has been so far, maybe something you took out. Hi, Ibuku, can you hear me? Seems like everybody came with a very, very chilled energy. This is going to be very interactive. So we're going to give you some time to settle in. Let's move on to another mentee. God's favor is Iyere. How are you doing today? How was your mentorship run with your mentor through the track? And, what was one thing you took out of it? Exactly. It's a rainy, chilly morning. So everyone is like on a very chill vibe. We get that. God's favor, would you like to speak?
Hi, good morning.
Hi, good
morning. Sorry, I did not get the question.
Who was your mentor? What was one thing you took out of your mentorship session through the program?
Oh, okay. My mentor was John. I can't pronounce his surname, but yeah, his name is John. And I was on the GTM track. One thing I took out was, so I knew nothing about GTM, but I've been able to, I don't know what's the word, but I've been able to learn things about GTM strategies that I can apply at my place of work. Yeah, that's just it.
That is so great to hear. Do you have a word for your mentor, for John? Is there something you'd like to say to appreciate John?
Yes, he's very patient, always willing to get on a call to help you sort things out. I really, really appreciate that for always being there, yes, to guide and to correct and all of that.
Thank you for your answers. Iyere, Laura. I want us to know that our mentors did this entirely free. So for them, it was a gift of love, I would say, to participate in this, because it was entirely free. It was just a sacrifice they made on their part, giving their time, giving their effort to do this. So it would be great to also appreciate them today. Samuel, how are you doing today? Who was your mentor? How was your mentorship session? And what is something nice you'd like to say to your mentor? So while we wait for Samuel to settle in, we're going to move to Laiwala. Laiwala, how are you doing today? How was your mentorship session? Who was your mentor? And of course, what is something nice or a shout out you'd like to give to your mentor?
Okay, so alright, I'm Charlie, so you might hear from.
Hey, Lai, it's quite muffled on your end. Okay, let's try one other person. Okay, Lai, can you speak now?
Yes, so first thing let's say was apologies, I'm in transit, right? So I can't so you might hear a couple of background noise. That's one. Then in terms of the mentorship session, so areas that helped me understanding the importance of time management and how it can effectively move deals across the pipeline. Meaning, that's one. Psychology of a salesperson, and then psychology of a buyer. As to capacity in terms of outbound, right? And how important it is in ensuring your pipeline is rich. And then also just revalidating that we're not alone in sales, challenges. So those are areas that we touched on. And then for my mentor, Ayomide Akodu, I really, really appreciate the level of quality applied, mentoring us, mentoring me, because always available, honestly, and he always communicated effectively. He was more of even a he's always not he's not a reactive person, he's more of how would I put it, he does things beforehand, so things are well in place. So thank you to him for that. And yes, there's so much more we are still exploring, and I think that's it for me for now.
Thank you, Laiwala. Ayomide, take your flowers. I mean, Ayomide is like our second-time mentor, and he killed it last year, killing it this year. We've gotten tons of feedback from his mentees. So thank you very much, Ayomide. Thank you to all our mentors. Laiwala, you said something very important about how your mentor was able to make you not feel alone through your sales career, through your sales journey, and which is one of the important things we're going to be discussing during the panel session, because there's going to be a panel session and it's for you to connect with your mentors, right? What you're doing today or what you're hoping to do with tech sales and other commercial roles in tech, they've been there, they've done that. So they're coming to share that with you on a very relatable note, not, eye level, everyone acting like everything is fine. And, we're going to go deep into what it takes to be here, to succeed in this field. And, our mentors will be taking us through that in the coming sessions. So yes, very good to hear from our mentees. Let's take one more person. Give a shout out to your mentor. Let's say Ike Chukwu. No. Okay. Let's see if Victor is back. Victor, are you back? Are you with us? If Victor is not available, we can do Abiola. Abiola.
Yes,
Okay, hi, Victor. Yes, we can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, Victor, we can hear you clearly. So what was one thing you took out of your session? Who was your mentor?
The one of the things that I got out of from the sessions from my mentor was clarity. I think that's the first word, because going into sales for me, I'd never had a mentor, to be honest with you, like this. I never had somebody when I came in, I had to figure things out a lot, and there was a lot of second guessing, a lot of not being sure, what is this and what is what. And that was the first thing, because of his experience, because of his acumen with sales. He was able to provide clarity where, like, okay, even if it's as far as the length of the messages, as far as how to consider things, consider different strategies. He helped me have that, and that was something that I got where at this point, 3 months after 3 months after the start of the mentorship, I feel more confident, as a salesperson. I feel more confident in my role. I feel more confident, and also one of the things I got is just that camaraderie, that friendship, not beyond mentorship, but my mentor Ayomide Akodi is someone I consider a friend. He's a great guy, and that also made it. So I got that sense of community, just like Olaiwola said, that sense of community, because we both were blessed to have I as our mentor. So that sense of community, that sense of openness and generosity. So yes, that's what in a nutshell, what I got out of that.
All right. Thank you very much, Victor. Okay, I think God's Mind has his hands up. Hi, God's Mind. Go ahead. Go ahead.
God's Mind here. I'd just like to briefly share session. So my mentor is Mr. Kenneth. And for me, one of the most important things I got was, being able to like make career decisions. As a salesperson, it's very important to know what to sell. And let's say if you at one point I had like two job offers, and that was just even at the beginning stage of my mentorship, and he shared insights with me to help me make. He didn't exactly help me make the decisions. He just gave me the frameworks, and that helps me make or make the right decision. So that has always stuck with me moving forward with every other thing that I've been doing. And aside from that, I also got to learn more about the foundation, and most importantly, when it comes to sales and why people tend to see sales as something that is a tough career path and want to like give up. I was able to understand my why and also have a vision for myself. So one thing he mentioned was, okay, have dream as big as you can possibly dream, and have that vision, that mindset, that end goal where you want to be and what you want to achieve, and just work on it. It's going to cost you the same amount of energy to dream as big or as high as possible, and has the same amount of energy to cost you to maybe dream small. So why not just dream big, and why not just try and be the best at what you do? So that was just having that why of, okay, why sales, or why you should be here. And lastly, at the end of the session, it was more of like, you got this, you can handle this, you can be the best at what you do. You can be the best at what you do. Just keep going, and I believe in you. And one of the philosophies I took off personally is just what he mentioned during the sessions, along the sessions, which is me just doing work that, at every opportunity in time, or where you get the opportunity to do work, just get your hands dirty and do so much work that you're able to see the results that you could actually do. And that's something that's been keeping me going, a philosophy that has been taken on and moving forward with. So that's it for me.
All right. Thank you, God's Mind, for sharing proactively. We love that you had a good time during your mentorship track, and a big shout out to your mentor as well. So yes, thank you to all of our mentors. We do appreciate your labor of love. We do appreciate the sacrifices you made. And shout out to the mentees that were very consistent. We know that for many of you, you had to work with this alongside your schedule, and being able to manage both and make it work. Kudos to you. So diving into the session, we have a keynote session from one of our mentors who was around last year as well, an amazing mentor. I believe we have Daniel on the call. Daniel, are you here with us? Daniel Ingang.
Hi, good morning, everyone.
Hi,
Good
Daniel.
morning,
It's
Dara.
nice to see your face again. Good morning.
Same
Good morning.
here. How are you today?
Fine, thank you. Fine, thank you. So we have Daniel on the call. Daniel is one of our mentors, a very, very solid man in the industry, and he's going to be speaking on beyond mentorship, what high performers do differently. Now, for many of you, you've been opportuned to be paired with really, really solid mentors, but what does that mean for you walking out of this experience? Does it end there? What do you do with everything you've learned? The relationship you build with your mentor, what does that translate to moving forward? So we've brought Daniel here to come, guide you through that part so you know what to do, what next steps to take on this journey. So the floor is yours, Daniel. Please go ahead. Would you like us to share your slides from our end, or would you like to share from your end?
I think I can share from my end.
From your end. All right, perfect. Perfect then.
Hi, good morning, everyone. First, I'd like to say thank you to the TSPC. Thank you, Dara Ahmed, and the entire team for this opportunity. I appreciate the work that you're doing, and it's a pleasure to volunteer to be part of mentorship and mentoring for the next guys, who want to take over sales and business development and all that career growth. I'm happy that I'll be talking about just beyond mentorship, what high performers can do differently. I think that mentorship is one tool to stay grounded. And I'm happy that TSPC has provided this to Nigerians and everyone who has been part of it. Obviously, a few of us know me, you've heard it about me. Just a simple gentleman. I swim a lot, fun fact. I love digital transformation. Now I'm currently trying to do that in the metal space, which is why you see the background that I have. I work with Taser. I do business development. It's a technology shop. And I've been in marketing and sales since 2013. All right, so beyond mentorship, what is it for you? What is it for us? What has it been for me, even as a person? My first advice to be a high performer beyond mentorship is to strike a balance in your work life. So you have your work, you have your life. One of the key things that you can do is to get about 4 hobbies, and those 4 hobbies should be in 4 buckets. So you pick them from 4 buckets. One of the buckets should be the intellectual hobby bucket. Within the intellectual hobby bucket, you have picking up reading as a hobby. You can pick up, today we live in a digital world where knowledge is democratized. So you can pick up listening to podcasts as a hobby, and it should be really relevant podcast. The likes of Stephen Bartlett, the likes of, I know Michelle Obama now has a podcast with her brother. So you can listen to very amazing podcasts like that. Pick one of those 2 and make it a lifestyle. On a weekly basis, you would have read pages from a book, or you would have listened to a podcast. So that can be an intellectual hobby. One other hobby to pick is within the creative hobby list. Try to start writing. It could be a journal. It could be that you just have an idea. You want to document your life within the company where you're working. You started working in a place. Why don't you document your life from beginning to the end? You've told yourself, oh, this company I've started working at, I want to work here for 4 years. I want to work here for 3 years. So you start documenting your life from day one. I tell you something, that can be the best seller in a few years' time. So picking a creative hobby stimulates a part of your brains and a part of your life. A creative hobby could be dancing, it could be trying to learn new languages, it could be trying to play an instrument. So have a creative hobby. Another hobby list is the physical hobby, right? It could be swimming, could be just normally going to the gym to build your body, and it could be picking up one sport to play. Every Saturday, you go to this place to play basketball. That becomes a hobby, right? Physical hobby is so important. It's so important because there is a way that you use your body well, and it affects positively your soul, your mental being, and every other things around. Another one is social hobby, right? Pick up networking, going for networking events, pick up organizing. You are working on a team and a task comes up. Why don't you volunteer yourself to organize that task, to organize preparing for whatsoever is being planned? Why don't you volunteer at a group? If you're at church, if you go to church, why don't you volunteer in a particular unit? That is a social hobby. I picked up volunteering as well as one of my social hobby, because I don't club, I'm not a partying person. So I told myself I was going to pick up a social hobby, and I picked up volunteering. For 2 years, I volunteered with the Tony Elumelu Foundation as a business mentor. I've mentored a number of entrepreneurs, right, who are doing very well. I've also picked the TSPC. I picked interest in the TSPC because I've been in sales and I've been in technology, and I'm mentoring, volunteering. So it's a social hobby. Now I got to know a number of people, but I'm also impacting. So one of the things to do beyond mentorship is to organize your life. Strike a balance between your work and life. Pick 4 hobbies from these 4 buckets: 1 intellectual, 1 creative, 1 physical, 1 social. You'd be amazed what your life will turn into. Just to run along, play long-term games, right? In this game of life, you need to determine that you're playing long-term games. By the way, can everyone still hear me?
Yes, we can.
Awesome, thank you. So, as a person who wants to be an amazing superstar in what you do in career, you need to learn to play long-term games. Let me put it this way: when you find the right thing to do, when you find the right people to socialize with, if you got the opportunity to work in a company, what you should do is to invest yourself deeply. Do not take anything for granted. Even if you get to work in a place and you tell yourself this is just going to be a 1-year thing, guess what? What you should do is you invest yourself within that 1 year so deeply that you yourself can be proud of yourself. The day you leave that place, the history of that place will always follow you. People you met along the way will always make reference to you. The people you reported to and the people who reported to you in any way will always remember you for something important, the quality of your life. So you're playing a long-term game. Now, there is knowledge and importance in understanding things around compound interest. if you're playing long-term games, and you have to make sure that the relationships that you have, the career that you're trying to build, knowledge, skill acquisition, everything starts with each drops, right? So you look at the future and you build each day, you invest in each day towards that future. We all have only 24 hours to live. Do not invest 1 hour of your 24 hours into something you don't really care about. And I'm going to be very blunt about this. I'm going to take, for instance, maybe a romantic relationship. If you are not sure that you should go get along with this person, don't play, don't joke around. Don't have fun. Do not invest your time. 1 minute of your time is so important. Don't invest it in something you don't really care about. That 1 minute that you could invest wasting with someone you don't really care about, or something you don't really care about, you could use it building skills elsewhere. And as you're doing that, you get to meet someone that you should really invest yourself in to get quality, to get value out of that relationship. If you're picking up a lifestyle, maybe the lifestyle you've picked up is pressing your phone 3 hours before you sleep. If you're picking up a lifestyle, maybe the lifestyle you've picked up is waking up very early in the morning and going to work, be the first person to get to the office. Look at that lifestyle with the end in mind. Would this lifestyle make me a better person? Would this lifestyle give me a better reputation? Would this lifestyle bring net positive into my life? If it's not going to bring net positive, you quit immediately. If it's going to bring net positivity to you, you continue. Everything you do, play long-term games. If you have options of where to work, look at them with the lens of the future. If you have option of the sort of relationships to get into, whether it's male friends, female friends, whatsoever, look at it in the long term. Do I see myself being in this context in the long term? And in that long term, what does it mean for me? Does it mean me being in the prison? Does it mean me being unhappy? So everything should be long-term games. And bringing it back to career life. Now, if you get into a place to work and you have a job title, why don't you think of the long term of that job title? You are an executive, you are an officer today, let's say sales officer, growth associate. Why don't you look at it from the lens of a long-term gain? Invest in yourself for the long term. Do not say, oh, well, I'm just doing this to get by. I'm going to set up and maybe start selling bags. That's what I want to do. If what you want to do is to sell bags on e-commerce platforms, you can actually dedicate your time and make that the long-term thing so that you quickly switch and focus on what really matters to you. Another thing, I believe that when you're having mentorship, what high performers really do is that they usually find a position of leverage. And this is so important. Let me tell you how this is important. If you were living in Nigeria between 2012 and 2014, and you could see the narratives around Africa rising. At the time, Nigeria was the #1 economy in Africa. South Africa, Egypt, Kenya were below Nigeria. And you could see the quality of federal ministers that we had, Kojeweela, We had these amazing guys who are, intellectuals leading the economy, and Nigeria was really rising, right? And you then look at yourself after the Jonathan administration came, Buhari's administration, Nigeria dropped down to number 4 economy in Africa, and life became so miserable and tough for youths. And now we're in Tinubu's administration. I'm not trying to make this political. You need to find a position of leverage in certain areas of your life. Number one, what city do you live in? High performers usually would position themselves in the best city in town. If you live in Nigeria, you should find a way to move to the most competitive city to live in. So you move to a place like Lagos, because Lagos is currently the most competitive city to live in Nigeria. Why is it competitive? It is very hard to survive in Lagos. Lagos is where you find really competent people struggling for the highest of their highest opportunities. And guess what? That's where you find the brightest guys. If you live in Africa, where in Africa do you live? Live in Nigeria. Which cities in Africa are the top cities? You find a way to move there. Do not say that you're looking for a sort of peace of mind and you want to remain in a place that gives you the comforts that you've always had. Otherwise, guess what would happen to you? You become a village champion. Village champions are people who are just in their locality. They're obviously the best, but they don't have an idea about how to compete globally. So one of the things to do to find a position of leverage is to find a way to move to the best city where you are. Today, if you want to leave Nigeria, find a way to move to the US, to move to places where life is so competitive that you can begin to position yourself amongst the best. Another way to find a position of leverage is in what you do. So you're obviously a salesperson, you are a finance person, you're a lawyer, you are this, you are that. Have you thought about the job description that you have? What is the future of this job description that you have? So you're a graphics designer. What is the future of graphic designing as a job description? So you have to look at how you can find the most competitive, in-demand skill set and build capacity in what you do and do it. Grow in it, do it and grow. And make sure that you're doing the best of the best kind of things to stay on leverage. Where you work is also important. If you're working and you realize that, when you Google top companies in Nigeria, why don't you find a way to move to one of the best? Who are you with? If you're dating someone, if you have a friend, male friend as a male, female friend as a female, or you're dating someone, why don't you look at these people at the length of, is this the best for me? And choose from there. So always put yourself in a position where other human beings can also work for you. That's very important. Finally, one of the things to do to put yourself in a position of leverage is to find a father for every aspect of your life. Finding a father is part of what we're doing here, which is getting mentors. So for every aspect of your life, try not to deal with life alone. Find someone to advise you. As a lady, find a lady who is advanced, knowledgeable, better, higher than you, to advise you in certain ways. for every aspect of your life, relationship, career. Just find a father, find someone to advise you, find someone to be vulnerable with, who can give you good information and good pieces of advice on how to deal with life. High performers don't quit. Do you know why? Because you see, fire is used for refinement. And the best of luxury are things that have gone through refinement, they've gone through thorough processing. So don't quit. Life is best lived when you've gone through challenges and you triumph them. Right? I want to give us a challenge. Michael Jackson's biopic, Michael, was released sometime this year, I think in May or so. Go and watch it and tell yourself whether Michael Jackson's father was a devil or he was a godfather. And I have my personal opinion. That man refined Michael, was a big-time disciplinarian, and he refined Michael to be who he became. And Michael didn't quit. He continued. And he became the greatest pop musician or pop star alive. So finally, on my presentation, I want to tell you to allow yourself to grow. It's one of the things that high performers do. Value your time at an hourly rate. So what does that mean? Have survival skills. Learn how to cook, learn how to wash, learn how to do your things. But when it comes to your daily life, know what to delegate. You can pay someone to wash your clothes for you so that you can spend that 2 hours maybe learning a skill or doing something important that can earn you more money than what you're paying someone who is washing your clothes for you. So that's what high performers do. High performers don't waste their time doing little things, right? They spend their time doing quality things, and they pay other people to do those little things for them so that their life is still organized. Never cheat yourself. There's the aspect of black tax. You earn a resource, you earn money every month, maybe from your paid job. You need to put your money into different buckets. Make sure you're saving, make sure you're investing, and make sure you also give. But the amount of money you're giving, ensure that you don't go beyond what you're marked for giving. Don't kill yourself for anybody. Don't kill yourself for anybody, except if you have a child, your children. Because other people can move on when you're down, but your children will always remember in the future that this is the person who brought me up. Happiness is a skill. Learn to be happy. You can learn to be happy. You can learn to be happy by choosing your friends, by going out to learn how to make money, by learning how to sleep, hibernate, wake up, work, energize yourself, and restart your life again. Thank you guys for listening to me. I'll leave you guys with this. You can be whoever you want to be, but you have to invest yourself deeply and make sure that your work and life is balanced. So thank you, TSPC, for this opportunity.
Thank you so much, Daniel. Can we jam our virtual hands together for Daniel, just to appreciate him for that amazing session? All right, great. So that's why we brought Daniel on. Thank you so much for Daniel. Now, while we may have to agree to disagree on certain things, here are things that I personally learned from some of the things that, was said, and I think would be helpful to you taking away. So we may have to debate work-life balance, because we know that for many of us, that's a myth. But one thing we can all agree on is work-life integration. And it might be surprising for many of you why Daniel started with hobbies, because it might just seem out of the box. I'm trying to build my career. Why are you talking to me about hobbies? But one thing a lot of high performers know is that burnout is waiting in front. And sometimes what helps you cope, what helps you get through life, what helps you not to sink in work, because work truly never ends, is just finding an outlet. Well, for some people, it's going to the gym. For some people, it's listening to podcasts. For some people, it's recharging the best way they know how to. For some people, social engagement, volunteering, but managing those things, which are called quote unquote hobbies, and integrating them into your life however you can, sort of helps with burnout, because burnout is really real and it takes a lot of time to get out of. And a lot of high performers can relate to burnout. Another thing that is said, and I think is very key for everyone to take out, is long-term game, right? As humans, there's only so much plan you can make. Life would happen. However, it's very important that per time, for the things you can control, always have a plan. And personally, one thing I do in my career is I always have a plan. If you ask me, why did you leave this company to move to that company? Why did you stay in this company for this duration? Why did you leave? How did you know it was the right time to leave? I can always answer those questions strategically. And in the moment, it might not even make sense. That's the thing. In the moment, it might not make sense. Why did you move from here to here? Really, why did you, what timeline? All of those things might not make sense in the start, but there was always a plan. It was always intentional. I can always answer those things. So wherever you find yourself, you're still trying to find your footing. You're not even like, you don't even know yet. You're just wherever it is you are. But with where you are, start planning. How long do I want to stay here? What am I looking to get out of here? I've been here for 1 year. I've been here for 2 years. I've been here for 3, 4 years. Am I growing? What have I learned? Am I learning real things I can apply? Have I learned skills that I can own wherever I go? So you need to start evaluating and start planning based on that. And I think the very last thing that got to me was have a mentor, have a sponsor, or have a role model. Now, a mentor is someone who guides you through your process like you've had. Right now, a mentor guides you through your journey. You can always access them, ask them questions, they answer your questions. A sponsor is someone who speaks for you in the rooms that matter. It could be at work, could be in other places, but they know you, they know your work. So they can vouch for you and they have the authority to, because they're respected and they're listened to. And that opens doors for you. For some people, it's a role model. You may never interact with them. You just see them online. You listen to the things, maybe their podcasts, you consume their content, and you pattern some of the decisions you make based off of some of the advices they give. Again, it's like from a distance, right? You may never interact with them personally, you may not, but they're a role model. So you look at their life and you try to emulate the good stuff from there. I think those are some of the things that stuck. I hope we were able to get a lot from the session with Daniel. We're going to be having Sarah up next, as well as Gift, and I'm very excited for this session. So I hope our speakers are ready. We have Sarah, who is the founder of Trailblazer, and then we have Gift, the relationship manager of Luno. Hi, Gift. Hi, Sarah. Are you ready for us? Gift, you're muted again.
Again,
Sarah,
I did say that. Yeah.
Can we join our virtual hands together for our speakers? Gift, Sarah. Thank you, everyone.
How's it going?
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Sarah. Hi, Gift. How are we doing today? How are you doing today? How's your Saturday going?
Sarah, you want to go? I think I'd gone on and on about my Saturday like earlier in the conversation. So feel free to talk about your Saturday.
Thank you. I mean, my Saturday is just like gift zone. I don't know why it's so similar. It's so chill, like super chill. I think it's just getting warm a bit now, but it's been like really cold, interestingly, and even without rain. So I'm like, wow. Yeah.
The rain, honestly, like it rained all through the night, and it's just getting calm a bit over here as well. It's nice to have you on the panel today. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for being consistent through the entire track. up until today. So good. We're going to be diving in. And what we're going to be talking about today is career advice from commercial leaders. Now, I trust Gift, and I'm trusting you too, Sarah, that during this session, we are talking practical stuff, you know how it is, and we're giving our mentees the realities of what goes on, right? So definitely we're going to be talking about things that they likely would experience. For some of them, they already experience it, and they might be having questions on how to navigate, you know, some of those areas in their career, which is why we brought you here on board. So I'm going to start with Sarah. Yeah. Looking back at the start of your career, what is one lesson you wish someone had taught you earlier? Like, if you knew it, you'd be like 5x the Sarah of today, career-wise. Yeah.
Okay, so for me, I would say documentation. Yes, so documentation generally, in every sense of the word. When I first started my career in sales, business development, and all of that, I didn't know it was a thing to track your numbers. Like, okay, I've raised so amount of money, I've closed this amount, and all of that. I was just always going with, let's say, going with the flow, going with the vibe. Yes, like just that excitement that yes, oh my God, I closed this and oh, and then eventually there were situations whereby I now had to like present those numbers. Like, okay, maybe talking to somebody and they're like, okay, like in your career so far, how much have you closed and all of that? And then I'm like, I start thinking and all of that. Meanwhile, it's not like I do not have these numbers, but I just never bothered to keep track of them. And I know that if I had done that, like as you said, I would probably have been like 5 times the Sarah that I currently am. Because I mean, I would be, should I say unstoppable? I'll just keep bragging everywhere, like and all of that. But yeah, because I didn't document it, I ended up forgetting about some and all of that. And yeah, so I would say documentation is very key.
Thank you very much, Sarah. That's really important. You will be surprised how easy it is to actually forget the things you've done unless you actually put them down and then you go back to it to see it. If you're on this call, it's either you use Excel. If you don't use Excel, use Notion. I think everybody should know that. You should have a bragging sheet where you write down the things you've done. No matter how small you consider it to be, if it's an achievement, document it down over the years. You go back to it and you actually remind yourself that you're a superstar, you know, you're very good at what you do, but you forget, you move on, especially in sales. What you did last quarter does not matter if this quarter is not looking good, you know, so remind yourself. Now let's move on to Gift. Gift, what's that thing that you'd have done that have made you like 5x better?
I mean, a few things. Documentation, as you said, is key. My little nugget there would be to have an ID list that happens for your organization and across your work cycle or your work life. And so if for example it's getting to promotion time and some story is being spun around why you can't be promoted, you whip out your ID list. Yeah. So your ID list is everything you've done, whether it's in or not your KPI. Right. So everything you've been responsible for, the nice handoffs, the through passes, the closures, all of that. So you use that list to like defend your position. In addition to that, two things I might have done better at the start. I'd phrase it as be a fantastic collaborator, right? So people like me who are probably on the spectrum and obsessing about work and our outcomes and our outputs, it's very easy for you to only see enemies in your way to achieving what you want and being an expert remover of blockers. But what I say to people, and that also has the danger of selecting, so you become someone who only wants to work with the elite, and the people who are not so great at their jobs, who have to work with you, rule themselves and hate themselves. And eventually you find that the bosses who are over you, who may not be as smart as you, feel threatened. In the end, you're just making so many enemies across the way to accomplishing your objectives. And it takes away from the win, because yes, the company won, but at what cost of capital? The capital here is social capital, and you lost a lot of capital to close that win. So what I would say is be an excellent collaborator, because even if you are the best at what you do and you provide value, people would work with people who provide value, yes, but people will only refer people that they love, right? And a lot of the time is why you are so good at your job, but you're barely getting promoted because no one is referring you for promotions if you're not coming up organically. And you are in the same organization for 20 years because no one is referring you out. Because it's like you have a tailor who's really good. Everyone's like, guy, this your native is mad. Who made this? And you're like, he's really good, but I can't refer him to you, man, because he will mess with you. He won't keep to timelines. It's very rude. I can't refer him, but I work with him. Do you see that happens in professional settings as well? So collaborate better. Be the guy who manages egos well, shares the win, involves people by sharing the win instead of sharing the blame. Thank people for no reason at all. Just be lovable. Be the deliverer of good news, not just the pointer out of problems. Because a lot of the time, people are like, they're the expert at pointing out the problem. This is why it will not work. This is why it didn't work. And yes, it's valuable, but people love solutions more than they love the problem, right? So people are scared to call on you to talk in meetings because definitely you will have a great conversation. You will have a great point of a problem. But where's the solution coming from? Be the guy who, like you mentioned the problem, but just as a beautiful segue into the solution and the possible outcomes from deploying that solution. If I had done that much earlier, I do that now. I mean, those that are saying, but if I had done that earlier in my career, I might have been a superstar much faster. Second thing I would say that I did well would be protecting my energy and momentum. So as again, slightly on the spectrum kind of guy, you are diving into all tasks with the same energy, because your reputation is on the line. But I tell people tasks fall into two buckets: importance and urgency. And so there are tasks, there's a quadrant for this. Many smart people have come up with that. So it's like, you probably have seen it. There's stuff that's not important and not urgent. Delete that. Don't do that, right? There's stuff that's important but not urgent. You can defer that, right? There's stuff that's urgent and not important. You can delegate that to someone else to do. But the stuff that's urgent and important is the stuff you get to do. And this continues to evolve as you grow across your career with competing priorities and, definitely more value that these things represent. So I guess that's it for me, right? Protecting momentum and collaborating effectively. Thanks.
That is a great answer. Thank you very much, Gift. It is very, very important to learn how to manage people, especially the further you go in your career, learning to manage people, emotional intelligence, and being able to build social capital, especially at work, right? And it boils down to how you're able to manage people's egos, because the further you go, the more egotistic you get to see people in real time. So it's very important to be able to navigate those situations. Thank you very much for that Gift. So back to you, Sarah. In today's market, what skills and qualities makes a candidate stand out during a hiring process? As a founder, you hire people. So what stands out to you? What are you watching out for? If you were interviewing yourself for a commercial role today, right? How would you prepare differently? I think I want you to take the first question before the second one. So what skills stand out to you? And then if you were interviewing yourself today, what would you have done differently?
Okay, so off the top of my head, the skills that stand out. In fact, number one skill would be communication. And can you hear me?
Yes, Sarah, we can hear you. Yes.
Okay. So yes, communication would be like the number one skill, especially if I'm interviewing. I want to see how you're able to communicate your points across, whether intelligibly. I want to see your storytelling as well. Like, okay, so because it's one thing to write stuff on your CV. So tell us about those experiences. Like, somebody that knows what they're doing and what they're talking about. You can just see it like in the way they describe. I mean, look at Gift the way he was talking about his experiences and all of that. You see that yes, he really did go through whatever it is. Maybe he's passionate about that thing. So want to see that. Want to see that. That I don't know what to call it, but basically that experience through your eyes and your stories and all of that. So I think that's the number one thing that I actually look out for. I want to see because even in your communication, I get to see your energy as well. how excited are you about this as a role or as a career and all of that? So yeah, that's it. Then for the second question, if I were interviewing myself, right? Was that the second question?
Yes, yes,
Okay,
yes. What would you do differently if you were preparing for an interview, rather?
okay, okay. So one thing I would do differently, yeah, and I would say it's something that I ended up putting myself of like back then when I used to do interviews. I mean, well, eventually I did learn. So doing your research about the company very well, like very well, and doing the research, not just learning about the company name and all of that. No, no, no. Like an in-depth dive about that company so that you can actually see like what problems. So I try to tell people don't overdo it in a way like you're coming to do ICT. No, it's not ICT, but in a really smart or accessible way, actually. So try to know what problem they are they're trying to solve. So you can find that out maybe through some of the CEO's posts or maybe what are they saying about them in the news, different things. Just like do your research so that when you come into that interview, you're coming from like a place of power and you can speak to it. Yes, so that's something that I would do differently because I know that there were some times that I did that research, but then maybe I would now be like too shy to like to say it. I don't want these people to think I'm doing too much. And then maybe by the time I eventually do, they're like, oh my god, she's like that kind of thing. So so that's what I would say I would do differently. Yes, come with solutions.
All right, thank you very much, Sarah. Follow-up question, clock it. Follow-up question for gifts, right? So Sarah spoke about communication, storytelling, enthusiasm during the interview, but how do you balance that with competency? Because as an hiring manager, you'd agree with me that there are people that come onto the interview process to lie, and they're very good communicators, they're eloquent, they speak well, and they can tell a good story. So, what are the things you watch out for to be able to differentiate between that and people who have actually done the work? And the instances where you have people who know their stuff, but they're not as great with communicating their wins, communicating their achievements. So, how do you discern in scenarios like that?
So thanks, Dara. It depends on what I'm hiring for, to be honest, the seniority of the role, the day-to-day, the core mandate of the role, right? Sometimes you need someone who knows how to communicate better than they actually know their stuff because they are coming in a managerial position where people would know the stuff under them, but communication at that level is super important. But then just back to me as to how I balance this. To be honest, in an interview, it's very possible to fake all of these things you've mentioned and even seem like you know what you're doing. So one of the things I rely on the most and most people rely on is referrals. So we would interview and reach out to referred candidates first over guys who are able to gain the ATS, right? So the ATS is what the companies use to like screen out CVs these days, right? So there are lots of courses on LinkedIn and Twitter on how to beat these things. So if you come through the ATS to a high score, congratulations to you. But I'll talk to guys who have been referred first, because there's someone who's sort of like staking there's someone who's like who I trust, who I'm leveraging that person's trust to interview that person. But generally, the one thing I look out for the most, maybe because I'm a sales guy, but the one thing I look out for the most when I interview is genuine curiosity. That is impossible to fake, right? So I know there's a certain levels of preparation that the smart guys on Twitter will tell you to prepare for, but I know when you're genuinely curious, when situational questions pop up, or you're asking questions about the company where we are right now, or things around that, like the genuine curiosity shows up. And here's why curiosity is important to me. Because if you are genuinely curious, not faking it, not performing it, not pseudo curious, like really curious, you would most likely often get to the end of a problem, and then the solution becomes clear. Because as a salesperson, my job, as I see it, is to help customers buy. And if I don't understand where the issue is coming from, what the buying need is, we will never sell. In short, if I do sell, I'll be lucky. Maybe the customer just needs it bad enough, and the problem is bigger than my ability to sell, so they just buy, right? But in the B2B space where I play, it's super important to be curious. So I would hire a curious candidate with a mid-level career trajectory that may not be up to them at this point, or may not have been they're doing up to this point. Great communication, genuine curiosity over someone who comes like super stacked and maybe not even referred, but I'm having to take a gamble simply because I think that curiosity is a better way to build a sales career, just in my experience. If I were interviewing today, what would I do differently? I don't think I'll change anything, to be honest, but I would treat it, I'd have started much earlier to treat interviewing as a sales process, because I'm actually selling myself, right? And it follows the entire sales cycle. I prospected the company, I found out what I was looking for, I made an application, aka a proposal, and then we had a first call, which is now the interview, maybe a second, third call to close. And then in these conversations, ahead of these conversations, I'll probably then, what I do is find one or two or three people and try to make a champion out of one of them within the organization, right? Someone that works in that team, someone that works in a separate other team that's not interested in the hiring process, and someone typically close to HR, but not in HR, because HR, they're very useless to you. Like helping you ahead of the interview, very useless. They won't tell you anything. But then I find out these things, and I'm just monitoring these people, following these people, reaching out, anyone who responds best, and probably I'm able to secure myself a champion, in addition to the person who referred me in the first place. So that's what I'll do differently. Treat it like a sales call.
Thank you, Gift. That was very smart, very smart responses. And I hope our mentees are taking notes, right? Some of the things you should do or you should take cognizance of if you're applying, looking to apply, referrals. Go on LinkedIn, or if you have connections within the company, there's a higher chance that you'll make it to the interview stage if you get someone internally to refer you. Yeah. Communication, storytelling during your interview. How do you communicate your wins? How do you tell your story? Genuine curiosity, like Gift has mentioned, and also treating your interview process as a sales process. Why? Because you're selling yourself. So yes, our mentors are coming in really, really hot, giving us the right answers, just the way we expected to. Moving on to you, Sarah. Many professionals focus on hitting their targets, but beyond performance, what has helped you grow into leadership? Today, you're a founder, but you started from somewhere. What helped you grow through that point to the point where you transitioned into being a founder?
Okay, I would say the number one thing that helped me was building relationships. So relationship building was really, really key for me. Um, Not to exaggerate, but almost everywhere that I go, I try to make friends or be familiar with people. Like even if it's even the what they call it, the receptionist or whatever, but like people get like familiar with me, and something that helped me, like even even when I used to go for sales. I mean, I remember there are some incidents where I would go for sales and I didn't even have like an interview. Like that was like my very first time, and I'll just walk into that company. I know because I had that friendly nature and all of that. It was something that helped me. Then relationship building generally, because I was always like really intentional with building relationships with everybody, whether it's senior leadership, whether it's an account that I was managing, whatever level that I was interacting with anybody, I tried to like always take it further. And another thing too is going the extra mile. So I'm using that word because if you ask most of my employers in the past, that's a common thing that they would say. They would say that Sarah, like, she always gives the extra mile, like in every way. So you know how they say work-life balance. I'm sorry, I don't know what that is. So I'm that kind of person that I could leave the office like really late, or like I do things even um beyond my job description and all of that. So it really did help me because I became like the go-to person. So even when I paused sales for a while and I went into business operations, being chief of staff and all of that, at a point, I was literally even handling HR, like different things. I mean, working in the startup environment and all of that. So it just helped me overall, like acquire more, be in like a leadership position, and from there it was just all natural. So yes, I'll say relationship building and trying your best to go the extra mile. Yeah, it helps.
All right. Thank you, Sarah. On to Gift. What for you? What has helped you grow into leadership today, leading Lunar? Gift, you're muted again.
Oh my God, this is annoying. So to be fair, I don't lead. So Luna is a very large company. So what I do basically is lead the key account.
Relationship management, yeah.
Yeah. So for that, like Sarah has pretty much capped the whole things earlier, I think for me to say. But then, well done, Sarah. But then for me, the truth of the matter, like added to what Sarah said, the one word is courage. That is
Hmm.
what has helped me grow is courage, man. Because after all this wonderful stuff we've done, built relationships, you can see these things and continue to think I'm not enough, or yeah, I still have one more year to go. Let me finish the certification first. I'll then apply. But this, you need courage, right? And there's a small analogy that comes to my mind. So I see that evolution as, so you know how there's like an egg in an egg in an egg. I call it a three-egg story. Like this, just imagine an egg, a small egg inside a larger egg inside the largest egg. So the spaces between these eggs, or three lines, maybe for people who are like not into eggs, you can do lines. So like there are three lines, right? Or three is a three-story building. So the first level is your level of comfort. That means these are the things you are comfortable doing, the roles you are comfortable taking, the things you are your day-to-day comfort zone. Most people die there, never ascend to the second story. The second story is your level of capability. Now, the difference between your level of comfort and level of capacity or capability is discipline, which means that you are actually able to do the thing, but because of indiscipline, you will not task yourself to do the thing. So you are less comfort. Yeah. So apply a little discipline, you get to your level of capability or capacity. Now, the third story, which is like the top tier, where I think leadership comes in, is the level of growth. Right? So that means you are now trying to stretch your actual capacity to new levels that you were hitherto not capable of. For you to attain that stretch, you now need courage, right? So that's the motivator, that's the catalyst there. So you need courage. And for me, nobody is, I mean, people say, some people are born in, some people are born leaders, some have, so it was that was a quote about greatness. So that further emphasizes my belief that nobody is a born leader, right? Leaders are made. Yeah, leaders are made, right? And leaders are built pretty much. So to cap that up, I'll just say a lot of the time we end up, a lot of us on this call are operating, at comfort level. Some of us are so disciplined that we're operating on the level of capability, like we're doing all the stuff we are capable of. But have you tried to stretch yourself beyond what you're currently capable of doing? If you're a great individual contributor, have you tried to stretch yourself to a level where you can multiply yourself in others to scale the impact for your organization exponentially, right? So that level requires courage, believing that you can do it, trusting yourself that you can do it, and then actually do what's required to stretch beyond your current level of capacity, is what I'd say. Yeah,
Thank you, Gift. Thank you, Gift. Very brilliant response. Sarah, back to you. So say you are mentoring someone, like you've mentored the last couple of months, and they're looking to get promoted within a year. What are three things you tell them to start doing? I know from your last response, you mentioned something about going the extra mile. But what are other things you would tell them to start doing right now so they could get promoted if they were looking to? And as you also mentioned documentation. So yeah, in addition to those.
Yes, because I mean it's still going back full circle again. So extra mile, making your impact visible. So like being deliberate about it, not in an arrogant way or as this said, being insufferable. No, but just as we said from the beginning, like having a brag book, like a monthly summary of what you delivered. If you can do that, maybe like at the end of the month you send like a monthly summary of everything that you've delivered and done, even the ones outside your JD, and then you send it to your manager. That if you let me see, I mean different levels. So maybe you're just a team member and you have like a line manager, or maybe you're um a manager and then you have like the executive, the CISOs and all of that. So just document it monthly and then share it with your manager, keep a record of your wins, then build relationships one level above where you currently sit. Yeah, so I know people always talk about office politics and all of that, but we're not saying, oh, be political. Yeah, it's just for you to understand like how decisions are made, like so that, for instance, if that's the position that you're aiming for, like, do you understand how things work at that level? Yeah, so that, and then also finding a problem that everybody knows exists and nobody is asking. And this takes me back to what you said, when you were talking about you being the solutions person and not always talking about, or rather leading with solutions and not always talking about the problems. Because trust me, with most of the companies that I've worked with, is a common thing. People like to dwell on problems and play the blame game. So if you're coming and you're leading with solutions every time, uh what we call, I like to call that like A1, like what's your A1? Yeah, so that's you coming with your solution first. Uh those are just the three tips that I would share with on that. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Sarah. I hope our mentees are taking note on the call. On to you, Gift. What are three things you would share with someone who was looking to get promoted within the next 1 year?
So quickly, you'll be collaborate effectively. We've hammered that earlier, so I won't dwell on that. The second thing is problems should come to your desk to die. That's what I call it. So someone identifies a problem and has brought it to your attention, thinking you can help. So it's one of two things, or so there are two scenarios where that happens. There's a customer-facing scenario and there's the internal scenario. If it's the internal scenario, the only answer that works is, two answers are yes, can do, or not right now, working on it, right? But be responsible for the solution of that problem, the solving of that problem. On the customer-facing side, because sometimes, trust me, customers will recommend you to your bosses to promote you. It does happen. Some customers have that pull, especially in the B2B space, right? What I would recommend is there are three answers that work for me. My best one is absolutely can do. Second one is not right now, working on it. And third is no can't do right now, right? And then understanding the impact of these answers and knowing how to manage expectations around these answers. Super interesting. The third thing I would recommend is play politics like mad in the office. That's not what I mean. Like that's a jokey joke, but it's not as much as it's not a lot of a joke, to be honest. So what does politics mean? So politics here is influencing agenda towards your benefit. That's what all politics is in the world. That's the definition pretty much. Whether you're doing it by people or policy or whatever. So if you are playing politics in an organization, what does that mean? It means that you've identified where the organization is going, and you are always a voice in the furtherance of that agenda. You are not in a corner bad mouthing it, saying why it won't work and all that. You are always leading, as Sarah said, A1 solution first towards the company's agenda. And then so people are saying, oh, this thing is not going to work. And you are the one looking at how it may work, what partners we need to onboard for it to work. Yes, it looks like a tall order now, but this is how we start at the stack to finish it up. Like That for me is what politics is. And then start to align yourself with the camps that think like you, right? The camps that think like you, that would nurture those thoughts. That's what politics means to me. Office politics, of the politics of backbiting and sabotaging don't work here. I don't play those. But the way I've described it is the politics I play, and I think that that's the politics that wins in the end ultimately, because that politics, guess what, will survive change, regime change after regime change. Because if you had pitched a tent with one guy and dirtied a couple of people, and those people's camp now eventually take the reins of power in the organization, you are going. Let me announce to you that you are going, right? But if you had stayed true to the organizational goals and objectives, and your politics is towards the advancement of that agenda, I promise you that as far as the company wants to keep making money, you will be valuable and you would have a place. So those are the three things I would recommend.
Thank you, Gifts. Very big on yes, we don't play dirty politics, but yes, you have to get involved. Politics will play you either way, so you have to get involved and, of course, make influence within the company. Okay, what's one piece of career advice you have received that has had the biggest impact on your professional journey? Gift, this is one for you.
Wow, advice. I mean, I've received a ton. But the one that one of my mentors and career sponsors gave me pretty early changed a lot about how I handle things is, this was the advice that wore a mask and scared me out of my comfort zone, to be honest. And it was, slay your giants while you're young. That's what he said. So the way I interpreted that statement was, do hard things, make the uncertain, risky moves, calculated risk, of course. Do the hard things, spend the hard money while you are young. So, for example, you are 24, 25, there's a certification worth 1 million naira. You probably earn 150K, 200K. There's no reason why you should be paying 1.5 million naira rent in Lagos when you cannot pay for a certification. So, quick gist. When I moved to Lagos, I lived under inhospitable conditions with a family member for 2 years while I had money to pay 3x Lagos rent that I was seeing available in the area I was staying in. Reason why was because I needed liquidity to chase some opportunities, right? So slay your giants when you are young. It's okay to have acne. It's okay to have one shoe. I mean, polish the shoe and definitely take care of it so you don't look like a masquerade. But it's okay to not use expensive perfumes. Smart Collection was my go-to back in the day. I really loved that product. So Nigeria happened to it. So, do hard things. There's no need to be a fresh boy or a fresh girl at the start. You will get there. The real shame will be managing or fake lifing freshness for 10 years. That's the real shame. The thing is, do hard things when you are young. Take that job. So I was very comfortable as a doctor. I was making very good money. I had autonomy, the dream life of a doctor. When an opportunity in health finance opened up, a vertical of healthcare, I had no legs, no sea legs whatsoever in finance or banking. The targets were very hard. Like I was being told, if you make this transition, you will fail, you will suffer, one thing. And I had just gotten married. It was a tough, tight matter. I would do it because last, if it fails, I will go back to what I know. But I mean, I'm a bit older now. I may not be able to take some of those like hefty risks as I used to. But the point is, I slayed those giants while I was young, and the opportunity, the outcomes compounded to get me to where I am now. I mean, happy, but you're still moving on. But the point I'm making is slay your giants when you are young. Do hard things when you are young. Take those risks while you are young. And your older self, 10 years out, and I will thank you for it.
Thank you so much, Gift. I 100% agree with doing the hard things while you're young. In addition to that, I would say do not coast. Don't coast. Don't ever be comfortable coasting, especially if you're very young in your career, because it always tells at the end. That manager, that executive that coasted when they were a lot younger, it always tells at the end. You could always tell the people who rolled their sleeves and got their hands dirty and know what they're talking about, and people who didn't do that work and coasted. So while you're doing the hard things now, please do not coast. Don't coast as well. Sarah, on to you. if there was one piece of career advice that, you know, you've received that has changed your career journey for the better, please share with us.
Okay. Well, for me, the one that has had the biggest impact, it will be stop waiting to feel ready. Like we tend to wait a lot, whether it's imposter syndrome or whatever, but mostly imposter syndrome. And you feel like, now is not the time. Then there's procrastination as well. Just stop waiting to feel ready. Stop waiting that, okay, maybe by the time I take this course, yeah, I'll be good enough to do this, I'll be good enough for this role or whatever. While that helps, I mean, you can actually take on that role or whatever it is that you want to do and still go for that thing, grow on the job or whatever. Just stop waiting to feel ready, because in the end, are we ever truly ready? Like, I just want all that time to pass and all of that. No, no, no. Like, readiness is not a feeling that you arrive at. It's actually a state that you build by doing the thing that you say you want to do, like before you feel ready to actually do it. So I'll say yes, I've had the biggest impact, because if not for that advice, yeah, I don't know who told me. Maybe I was the one that told myself. I mean, not to be arrogant, but yes, it has really had the biggest impact, because it was what led to me like building my own company and all. Like, just don't wait until you're ready. Do it according to Nike. Just do it.
Thank you very much, Sarah. Just do it according to Nike. We've come to the close of this very amazing session. Last Q&A for our mentees on the call. I'm going to open the floor in case there any one of you that has questions for our mentors. So if you have a question, just raise up your virtual hands and you'll be brought up stage to ask your question. Do we have any questions? Any question you want to ask Gift? Any question you want to ask Sarah or any other of the mentors on the call at all? Now would be the perfect time to ask them those questions. They don't have to be the mentors that mentored you. Yes, God's mind. Go ahead with your question.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Once again, God's mine here. Amazing tips, advices shared so far. And for me, my question would just be in terms of picking an industry to work in. What would be your decision? I know when starting out in, let's say, your sales career, it is also like, should I say, good to take opportunities wherever you find yourself, but um so how what is kind of like the decision in terms of like, okay, picking an industry you want to work with? Do you maybe pick an industry you want to work with based off your interests, your passion, your strengths, or you just maybe anywhere you find yourself, then you just try and double down and grow in that specific industry? This goes to anyone of our
Sarah, I see you smiling because I've answered this question on the panel we're both on. So I imagine that you recalled that this is something I'm very passionate talking about.
Yes. You can go ahead, please. You go ahead and then Sarah would give a response as well.
Yeah, so God's Mind, first of all, amazing name. My name is Gift. So us guys with peculiar names have to stick together. So for your question, right? My first response is don't follow passion. That's a joke, right? So the actual response to your question is, so as someone who's pivoted, I mean, I can't even tell you, I used to be a doctor, entered into somewhere, I don't even know where I am right now. The point I'm making is, you can't know what you are going to be doing in another 5 years with the rate of change that the world is undergoing at the moment, right? But here's a template that I've done for myself and a couple of close friends that has. So there is so school will always be important. Let's start there. And in school, you learn you acquire a couple of skills. right, and some knowledge. So when you graduate, you are now a professional. You have a profession at something. So, but unfortunately, or fortunately for you in this case, your profession is not equal to your skill set. So your skill set are the skills that you've acquired that enable you do a profession correctly or well, but they are not limited to the performance of that profession alone. So the first thing you need to do, Godsman, is identify what your skill sets are. So let me use my example. When I was a doctor, I quickly understood that first of all, I liked money, and that was not the path to touring Nigeria if I was going to make money. But then for skill sets, I realized that all a doctor pretty much does is sell you a solution, right? And it's an entire sales process. Like they first of all ask you questions about the status quo, get to where the real pain is, do a diagnostics on what the real pain is, come up with a plan to solve that problem. What's the word? They then execute that plan, and then they monitor that plan over a period. And then they also manage you, who I'll call a patient or a stakeholder in this case, to collaborate with them to execute that plan to ensure that it works. It is only when that plan has worked with your collaboration or cooperation that you will now say that you have been handled properly by a doctor and your situation has been healed by that hospital visit. And I realized that this is everything that people do in sales. It's pretty much sales. Fortunately for me, I was an optometrist, so there was a sales aspect to the job where I get to make you buy very nice frames from me and get the best, most expensive, high margin lenses for me from me, right? And that probably just pushed me in that direction. So when I saw a role in banking around health finance sales, yes, it was strange, but I identified it as an opportunity that I could leverage using the skill sets I currently had, hoping to build on them to fit better into that new opportunity. So, Godsman, to wrap up, it is first of all, do a skills analysis. I'm totally honest with yourself. What skills do I have? Am I answering that question from a level of comfort or from a level of capacity? Right? Am I a good listener? Do I have curiosity? Do I know how to speak or communicate clearly? All of that skill set. Now, go and search, and the internet is a useful tool here. AI also helps. Which professions in this world or in each industry require this skill set? And then you form a list of those. And then you now finally break down the list with which of these opportunities are most available to me right now. Judge based on one, do I have anybody in my network that can plug me into one of these opportunities? Two, are these high hiring opportunities today? So, for example, banks are on a hiring spree right now, consulting firms as well. Some other companies are hiring. So, are these companies or these sectors that hire regularly in my, like, for people who are like graduate and like graduate trainee entry levels? So, like questions. And for you now break it down to which of these am I happy to start with? And then you look for companies in that sector. That's like a map into how I would solve that problem if it were me. Godsman, I hope I've been able to like answer a question to some degree.
Yeah,
I didn't catch your response.
Definitely.
Still didn't catch it, but Dara.
All right, thanks, Gift. God's mine. I hope you're able to get a very detailed response to your question. Sarah, do you have anything to add to that, or should we move on?
Well, I mean, I would have said to move on, but just to add, I wouldn't really
Yes.
say passion like that. It also depends on what you want. Personally, for me, it's two things. It's either the money number one, and two is check on your interest. Yeah, I feel like give answer most of it. But when I say interest, like I'll use myself as an example. So like when I started off my career, I tried to work in different sectors just so I could get a feel of different and why that happened was because I originally started out with radio. I used to be a radio presenter, and one of the things that we learned in radio is that as a media person, you should know a little bit about everything. So I carried that mindset into the corporate world as well. So if that is something that you're also interested in, like you want to know a little bit about how each industry works, fine, you can then, should I say, do a lottery. Just throw your dice out and then choose, okay, which industry do I want to learn about? Which one do I see myself building a career in and all of that? Yeah, so that's the other angle that I would just add as well. But money is important. So
Well, I can tell you for a fact that I'm not in sales for passion. I'm in sales for the money. So yeah, I agree with you. But I found myself here, I had to ask myself, what's important to me. So yes, money ticked out, interest ticked out, and then the potential opportunities, what it meant for me being in this space. What could I grow into? Excuse me, what could I grow into? That also ticked that as well. Gift, I'm trying to check out your comment. Jack of all trades, master of none, better than master of one. Fair enough, fair enough, fair enough, fair enough. Yeah. So yes, thank you, Sarah. Do we have any questions from the mentees? Any other questions from the mentees? You have Gift here. Gift is a very brilliant mind. You have Sarah, another brilliant, brilliant mind on the call. Do you have any questions for these two brilliant people before we call it a day? God's mind again. God's mind, I love your attitude. Amazing. Fire on, fire on. Go ahead.
Yeah. I just want to use just like the advice we've gotten, use every opportunity or leverage that you have. So let me use this opportunity to ask my questions. What's the question again? Um, what's shit?
So it's okay, God's mind. Take a
Sorry, I'll
minute
come back.
to, yes, take a minute to put yourself together. It's fine. While you put your question together, Samuel, you can go ahead and ask your question.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Um, my name is Samuel. So, my question is for gifts. The main reason is because I just found out that we have the same background in healthcare, and I'm trying to make this transition. So, with regards to why you made the transition initially, I kind of felt a connection with what you said with regards to having a new interest and like the similar challenges you said while trying to make the transition and the doubts that people had around that. So that is what I'm actually struggling with because um in a way I want to make this career move because to an extent I no longer feel as engaged as I am in healthcare, and I feel that this is the next step I can take that will stretch me to go. But at the same time I have to actually kind of make this explanation to my siblings and say this is not what I want to do again, this is what I want to do now. So how were you able to handle that like I say, that conflict with people you have to actually explain to why you are doing this particular kind of thing now and not going the way they all thought you wanted to move? Thank you.
Well, I didn't talk about it a lot, definitely for sure, because I did not want anyone to adulterate my confidence, right? So I didn't talk about it a lot. I just went ahead and did it. My father was livid, didn't understand it. My siblings didn't get it. Everybody just hoped I knew. Especially my father did not have a good experience with banking, so everybody just thought, I hope he knows what he's doing. But it appears I sort of didn't know what I was doing. So I would say that first, doubt starts to die in the presence of execution, right? So talking about it a lot, maybe not very helpful. Doing it more helpful. And then the second thing is to have a plan of entry. So my plan of entry was simple. I had someone who had done it, who was a career sponsor at the time, was a mentor at the time, had a career sponsor. The opportunity opened up with his organization at the bank at the time, and he just recommended me. So it's another thing I would say, right? Don't talk about it with everyone, but talk about it with people who you reckon can help. You may be wrong, you may be right, but share with who you think can help. The one other thing I will add on the back of this as a nice segue is recommendations beat everything else. So the only job I ever applied for was my first job out of, which was an internship out of NYC, and then youth service was like a posting. After that, the place I worked in NYC asked me to come back, and from there, someone recommended me somewhere else, and it's been a recommendation chain all the way to where I am now, right? So what I'm saying pretty much is, number one, find someone who's done what you're doing, who is close to you, who actually gives a damn, who cares about you, but has done this, or someone who is in a position after you've done that mind map I just shared with God's mind, and you figured out what places you want to enter. I would recommend banking if you're in healthcare, because it's sort of like a good first entry into that space. Sorry guys. And after that, after you've done that, sorry guys, that person is going to keep calling on the side, drop a message. So in addition to all I've said, I've lost that train of thought, but the point being, find someone that actually cares enough about it. Stop talking to other people about it. Talk to that person about it, or those people about it, and look for opportunities that sound like it's what you're looking for. And when you do have the courage to take them. And die there. I forgot to add that. Just die there. Like, just know that there's no way out. You can't fail, right? You will die there. You will do whatever it takes for as long as it takes to succeed at this opportunity that you have got in that moment.
Samuel, I hope you've gotten the answer to your question.
Yes, I have. Thank you very much. I really
Great.
appreciate it.
Great. Thank you, Samuel. Thanks, Gift. So God's mind, you have the floor.
All right. So my question was around so I've kind of like been getting some, should I say advice or generic advice lately, and I just wanted to ask, what are like some certifications or affiliations that we could take to help bolster up our, should I say, reputation or credibility? Yeah.
Sarah, would you like to take that?
So could you repeat it? I mean, I think it was going in and out for
I think
me.
it was talking about courses he could take to boost his credibility. But God's mind,
Certifications and affiliations.
certifications, okay.
Yeah.
Well, it depends on the, should I say, the area. I don't know if Gift has a couple he wants to recommend, but a few that I could recommend. So like, I know Trailblaze Africa, we offer an account management professional program. Yes, so if it's account management, I would definitely recommend my own program. Number one. Number two, um, there are also lots of courses on Coursera. Yes, lots of courses on Coursera. I feel like Coursera is also one of my number one go-to, like my go-to channel for courses on sales or particular topics and all of that. Yes. So those are my top two recommendations. I do not know about any other like particular one, just like the PMP and all. I do not know. Yes, but that's all I have for my end.
All right, Gift, would you like to answer that? Gift, if you're speaking, you're muted.
Yeah, that tends to happen every once in a while. We've been over this.
Yeah.
So certifications and affiliations. So there is what I tell people, and there is the truth. Which version do you people want? I always like it so you know that you signed up for whatever you got. Do you want what I tell people, or do you want what I think is true? In the absence of a response, I will go with what I think is true.
I think we'll go with both.
What works, yeah? Okay, good.
Both of them. What you tell people
certifications
was
and
the truth.
affiliations are great. But I have seen situations where MBAs and CBAPs and PMPs are like taking entry level roles while BSCs are like their managers and are doing amazing jobs. I've seen where these two kinds of people will apply for the same role and they take the BSc person, right? Same level of experience. it just tells you that what's important is certifications and stuff are great. They help your depth, but knowing the work and having the track record to show, plus communicating effectively, plus relationships, will beat everything else, hands down. Like hands down. So my recommendation is number one, grind in your current role. Like let the numbers, let your track record speak for itself. And this is what grinding looks like. You are killing it at your job. You are going above and beyond what you've been told to do what actually needs to be done. You're not always the same thing. This is what you're supposed to do, and if you do this, you're doing your job. And there is you understanding from the doing of your job what needs to be done further and doing that, right? Two, there is collaborating effectively, sharing the win, owning the blame, sharing the solution while like highlighting the problem, majoring on the solution, having things coming to your desk to die, problems coming to your desk to die, solutions that born from your desk. There is the, forming relationships with people that matter in the organization by doing work that matters to them, right? Providing value to them, not saying, hey, I be your boy, mentor me. That's not a form relationship with these guys, right? It's by providing value first and then doing work that matters to them, right? Making them look good in their jobs, not making them feel good. You don't need that. People do that too much. Making them look good at the job. Now, when all these things have been done and there's another opportunity, if they refer you, it hands down beats any degree holder wanting from anywhere. And as far as you go into that opportunity, also delivering value, my saying is ABDV, always be delivering value. As far as you do that, right? Certifications, my best way for those are while in the job, there is a new opportunity that is arriving in the horizon, maybe in that same organization, and you do a certification to leverage that opportunity. Guess what? Your organization may even pay, because you are such a fantastic high performer, they might even pay for that certification for you because they need you at that level of performance. So they want you as a person, but they just want you to layer that extra knowledge and they are willing to pay for that. Again, it goes back to what Daniel said. If you've done all of these things correctly, you would have positioned yourself for the long game. And so the organization is willing to make long-term investments in you, right? But definitely do certifications. My approach to certifications is trying to diversify your knowledge base, right? So for example, AI is popping off. Probably get certified there. So people now know that in addition to being a superstar, if the company takes an AI direction in any business line, you are also a guy that brings that your performance acuity into the AI space because you now know how to do it. That's how I would approach it. Different from how our parents approach it, or just be piling certification in one particular business line, and then tomorrow AI takes your job and it's all dead. So that's my truth. It's not the truth, it's my truth. So there you go.
Thank you
I'm
so much,
sorry.
Gift. Oh, Sarah, go
And
ahead.
just to add, so when I mentioned to Sarah, there's just something I need to also add to it. So personally, I'm this kind of person. Well, I studied philosophy, so I love knowledge. Yes. So most of the time, I don't even do this for the sake of acquiring certificates. Like I don't really care about a
Well, for
certificate, but just
knowledge.
give me this knowledge so that I can always like update my knowledge. And it's not because I mean experience comes with its own knowledge and perks and all of that. But sometimes you just need to update yourself so that you know, like, okay, what's industry standard, what's happening everywhere, and all of that. So maybe you shouldn't look at just acquiring certificates, but just look for everywhere that you can gather and soak in as much knowledge as possible. Yep. So that's it.
So I was going to add one last bit just of Sarah's conversation. Sarah, I align with you. There's a difference between a skilled hire and an experienced hire. And I need you to take this with you everywhere you go, right? And this one is not my truth. This is the truth. Learn the hard way. So an experienced hire is someone, so I'm a consultant, for example. I worked at KPMG and I worked in tax. KPMG moved on to PwC, worked in tax. Moved on to Deloitte, worked in tax. And then McKinsey is trying to hire a senior tax consultant. I'm an experienced hire. But I'm a salesperson I worked in Sterling, for example, and then I'm going on to work in Amazon. And then from Amazon, I'm going on to work in Anthropic. I'm a skilled hire. I'm not an experienced hire. Do you know why? Because I do not have experience in their business line per se, or nor have I worked in their sort of company that runs in the same context. So I'm not, in fact, I would even go as far as to say, when you are in a role, you probably don't even have any experience unless you've worked for that company before, because you think you know until you get there and see that their expression of that role is a very different ball game from what you've played, right? So everywhere, every interview, everywhere I go, I always tell you I'm a skilled hire. I'm not an experienced hire. I don't know it all, but I have skills. And given the opportunity, I would leverage these skills to have the to learn how your organization works and then deliver value for you with that experience. This is how I would phrase that. So I just thought to make that distinction. So definitely acquire certifications to get skills, but it doesn't make you experienced, right? Having time on the job doesn't even make you experienced. It's not the same context.
All right. Thank you so much, Gift. Thank you so much, Sarah. And now we have come to the end of this amazing panel session. You'd agree with me that we have two very brilliant panelists with us here. Ensure you connect with them on social media, on LinkedIn in particular. Regardless of whether they were your mentors, these are great people to be following. They have a lot of knowledge to dish out, like you've seen. So please connect with them on LinkedIn. Thank you, a very big thank you to our mentors for seeing through this program from beginning to the end. It was 3 months. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your dedication. Thank you for your support to the mentees. And for our mentees that stayed consistent and did not stress their mentors, thank you very much for your consistency. At the end of the program, we're going to be issuing certificates to all our mentors and all our mentees. So you should be getting your certification soon. We really do appreciate you. And we hope to see you next year because it's an annual thing for us. We've taken your feedback on the forms, on the survey. If you have more feedback for us, please share with us, because what that does for us is it helps us modify the experience for both mentors and mentees. And this is our second edition. So we're hoping the third one is going to be better. Share your feedback, objective, whatever it is. Please share feedback with us. We really appreciate it. With that, we come to the end of this mentorship track 2026. Thank you, everyone, and enjoy the rest of your weekend. Bye. Thank you.